More useless woke clown developers fired. Stop. I can only be this hard.
Well, everyone, it's happened again. We've got another massive round of layoffs in the games industry. But, well, suffice to say, this one is going to teach us a lot. The biggest headline is that Respawn right now are suffering, and they're suffering for EA's failures. They've taken the brunt of the latest round of layoffs. 100 staff are gone. 2
What did Respawn even do?
projects are cancelled, and I'm sad to say that a third Titanfall game was being tested.
Oh, yeah, right, that one. Oh, Titanfall got canned. That's actually surprising because I assumed Titanfall was so far into development they're not gonna actually can it. Interesting. Oh yeah, they were the ones who did Titanfall and Apex Legends. You know, the failing game. 10 out of 10.
But now it's dead. Though, rumors did say it was an extraction shooter because, hey, it is modern era. Anyway, it's easy to look at this and to point at Apex's recently botched monetization and all the player distrust as the primary reason, and I'm sure that all plays a role. But it's far from the main role, and a lot of people would look at, say, Veilguard. But for all of the chatter that Veilguard's underperformance generated, it is but a drop in the ocean. Seriously. Today, we're going to learn why public companies suck with just about the perfect working example, and, well, it's grim, it's spicy.
Oh shit, is Billiard just gonna, show you my video or something? We talk about this often.
Hope you enjoy. Now, I don't know about you, but I spent a lot of hours sitting.
Oh.
I had been hunting for
No.
and warranty. To set the scene, EA's last quarter did not go well. Now, as we covered in the channel, Dragon Age underperformed, right? It totally did. BioWare was then gutted of all but
Dude, you still have woke activists who have not even bought, by the way, the game, who are saying, no, the players don't exist. 1 million sales not gonna be reached until 5 years into this shit. And BioWare came out and said that Dragon Age was an absolute disaster. But no, it's a success. Trust me. These woke clowns are insane.
a skeleton crew while they worked on the next Mass Effect game. But the real story was elsewhere. EA's yearly revenue forecast dropped from $7.5 billion to $7 billion, and that was driven by their worst case nightmare. Madden, college football, and EA Sports FC all underperformed, and that truly is a disaster.
Yeah, you can only have so many sports ball fans buying your, well, literal, not even reskin of the old Madden, NBA, and FIFA. Oh, right, you don't own FIFA anymore, which is going to be probably the biggest hit that EA suffers. EA is screwed, by the way. Everything that can go wrong currently is going wrong for EA.
With that announcement, investors decided to take their money elsewhere. EA's market value fell by a cool $6 billion, and while the stock price later increased, it did not reach last year's highs. So, EA looked weak. What EA needed was a win, and they actually got one in the form of Split Fiction. But here's the thing, right? Split Fiction's success barely scratches the surface, and that's why EA...
Yeah, that's the reality. This is a success. But, I mean, one small... keep in mind, this is a small success, okay? This is not a big success. This is not 30 million sales in a year success. This is, well, it was a success, 10 out of 10. Now what?
Needed, from their perspective anyway, to take out the cleaver. Here's the damage. 300 to 400 staff are being cut, 100 of which are at Respawn, and Respawn said that these are targeted team adjustments. I'm not going to bother repeating the rest of their statement here because it's mostly just ghoulish corporate speak that essentially says nothing. Now, what we can gather online is that both Apex Legends and the Jedi teams have been hit. And the core idea here, right, is that Respawn needs to focus, that they have got...
That's actually insane, because the Jedi games are the only thing that makes EA money at this point. Everything else that EA kind of does is... well, Respawn, I should say, not actually EA in this situation. Everything that Respawn does is pretty much only good when it comes to Jedi Survivor games, and that's it. Everything else is bad.
got to do more with less.
So a hit for this is kind of strange.
And that means the next Jedi game needs to raise the bar while staff on it are laid off. And if Jedi Survivor's launch taught us anything, it's that raising the bar is kind of hard and can just make your game break. Apex faces the same as well, by the way, so somehow they've got to make Apex go up even though they've just taken hits, but the real hit is actually to Respawn's future. So 2 in development projects are cancelled here. One of them was Titanfall, okay? And I know, Titanfall 3 is something we all want, but per Jeff Grubb's sources, it
Is Titanfall 3 going to be an actual success, or do you think this is a Morbius tier meme, by the way? I think it could be a Morbius tier meme. And if you don't know the story of Morbius, the movie, it got memed so hard, Disney actually thought that they can re-release it in cinemas because people are actually going to watch it suddenly. And they did. Well, not the people watching. They just re-released it and it was a disaster. Like, -5 people watched Morbius. Because Disney thought the memes mean that people want to see it. And is Titanfall not honestly the same thing? The original Titanfall was unsuccessful because what? I didn't pay attention, but I'm pretty sure it was unsuccessful because people just didn't play it. So it's considered a cult classic, but how many people actually want to play it? How many people will buy it?
It actually wasn't Titanfall 3. It was a incubation project, a true incubation project. So not something that was greenlit, but it was overseen by Steve Fukuda. And now Steve is kind of relevant here. He's a fairly big name. He directed Titanfall, so you'd expect him to be the kind of guy working on the big new thing. Now what they were doing was exploring new gameplay systems, new ideas, and Bloomberg then suggested that it was an extraction-based game. So who knows, maybe there's a
Of course Bloomberg is gonna suggest that shit.
universe where Marathon Hyenas and Titanfall the extraction game were all fighting with each other. Ouch. And look, I imagine they were trying to cook in some way, but right now we just don't know much about the game. Regardless though, it's dead, and it's not really unexpected, right? Prototypes die all the time. This was not a full greenlit production. It wasn't a whole new story game. It was a test, I suppose, of using the Titanfall IP so that it could exist. They could do something with it. Now, there is another dead project. Sadly, we have no idea what that is. If you do know what it is, well, you know that we have a tips email address, and you can send an email there. I'd be very happy to read it. But there's actually quite a bit more to these layoffs. Even just by the numbers, the ones impacting Respawn are but a fraction of the total. One question: how short notice are these layoffs? It's a fun one because Apex Legends actually revealed a new hero one day before the layoff. The hero didn't even come out. It was announced, and then bam, the person's lost their job. So,
By the way, an animation like this is
are but a fraction of the total. One question:
an animation like this seems so pointless.
how short notice
She takes an arrow. By the way, more look like an it or they because obviously
are
she shoots
these
the
layoffs?
arrow. She could have. She kind of misses, and
It's a fun one.
then it's like, oh, and I was joking. Trollololol. Actually, I win. Why couldn't the arrow just do that instantaneously? What? Why? Why not?
One because Apex Legends actually revealed a new hero one day before the layoff. The hero didn't even come out. It was announced, and then bam, the person's lost their job. So far, we've seen level designers,
Oh yeah, that was based though.
dialogue editors, QA, and more be impacted, but that's just within Respawn. Remember, they're only 100 of the 300 to 400 total, and the wider layoffs seem particularly player-facing, so stuff you'll notice. IGN is reporting that the customer experience team, the marketing team, and other support roles are the remainder of the bottom estimate 200 people who are being impacted here. Now, it is said that they'll be given an opportunity to apply for other roles in the company, but let's be real for a second. If you are multilingual customer support, are you really going to get rehired when EA could, they think anyway, just as easily outsource or replace with an LLM? And look, this is not me being a Luddite, right? Saying that, oh, we should decrease innovation to maximize labor. I'm not saying that. I mean, look, for fuck's sake, I'm a lifelong science fiction fan and generally an optimist. But here's why I don't see the LLM stuff as a panacea in instances like this. Number one, they're early. We've all had experiences of bad customer support chatbots. Number two, and most importantly, they're being done fast and for the wrong reason. They're not being done as a way to use new technology to make for a better customer experience. It's all about, well, cost. And in this case, it's not cost in a vacuum. Oh no, no. This is cost in the context
You know what never made sense to me in this customer experience thing when you have a bot answering? Because you got a bot answering your questions, fine, but that's mostly not gonna provide enough, provide an answer that you're looking for. It's not gonna be satisfying, and people are gonna just be pissed. And when people are pissed, they actually can leave your shit. Like, how does that make sense? I never understood that. I have never asked this. I have never worked, sadly, in a company that actually, because this is a very gaming specific thing, honestly. Everywhere else, it's just, bro, just call the fucking number. But in gaming, no, it's a chat bot that pisses you off and makes you even more angry. I don't understand. I never understood what is the point. What is the logic behind that? How is that beneficial? Is it beneficial in the sense that everyone just lies about the effectiveness of it? Because everyone who chooses to review it probably is mostly pressing, yeah, this helped, even though it didn't. And most people who this doesn't help just ignore the question. It's like, how is there must be something. There must be some kind of big corporation just KPI bullshit for that to even be reasonable.
of bad quarterly earnings. And, well, we really do know it's hasty. If that thing about the Apex Rider is just a little anecdote, what makes it abundantly clear is exactly...
By the way, this shit, it's like, I have no idea if this is supposed to actually be a female or male, okay? That's just cringe.
Makes it abundantly clear is exactly how screwed Electronic Arts is. EA are off the back of weak earnings, and their next earnings call is on the 6th of May. Now, it's going to cover fiscal year 2025, and in it, Andrew Wilson and his executive team are going to tell investment groups all about the company's year and whether they've met their already reduced targets. And that begs a question: will they? Well, in quarter 3, bookings were down across all platforms and game types. EA predicted low double-digit growth in global football, and for just this quarter, they expected declines of 13 to 4% across all fields year over year. And that's even with Split Fiction being a massive success. But remember, May the 6th has not happened yet.
Split Fiction being a massive success doesn't impact those things.
These layoffs have just happened. Now, the May 6th report is not just for Q4, it's for the entire year. And in it, they'll have to give guidance for the next year. EA cannot scrape by here. They need to put on a show of financial prudence to please investors. Customer experience is the sort of thing that does not make direct, instant profits. Incubation projects are money pits that don't have guaranteed returns. So they're the things that are easy cuts on a balance sheet. Apex isn't trending up, so its team size is trending down. That can make financial sense. In one sense, not exactly one that knows much about games, them being good and what causes them to grow, but, in the business management sense.
Yeah, I have no idea if this is a man or a woman.
Now, this is all quite grim. But what if I told you that it's actually even worse? Okay, so EA's next 12 months is set to include Battlefield, with a rumored free-to-play component, as well as the free-to-play Skate game. Then there's The Sims, which is continuing its business model shift, but really, what I'm here to tell you is that none of that stuff particularly matters. At least, none of it matters as much as sports, and sports are in more trouble than most people realize. So first off, the Madden series is finally dropping the PS4 and the Xbox One. Now, EA's big hope here is that audiences will shift over to the new consoles. And here's the thing, this channel appeals to enthusiasts. So the idea of, like, you or me, I don't know, using an ancient console at under 30 FPS, that might be absolute insane heresy. But the reality is the PS4 is still fairly huge. PS5 has only just surpassed its sales curve, and that's with the Xbox Series performing worse than the Xbox One, set of consoles. And that does show stagnation. So right now, there's about 120 million lifetime sale PS4s and about 75 million PS5s. There are tens of millions who have not switched, and if any group was to not make a console upgrade, I'd say it's probably the more casual sports audiences. But then there's EA Sports FC, formerly
Makes sense, honestly, yeah.
known as FIFA. It was already facing microtransaction slowdowns. If it also drops last-gen support, I think that would certainly
Dude, no one gives a shit about next gen supports or whatever. Okay, listen. It's not named FIFA anymore. Everyone knows football only by the name of FIFA. That's it. No one has any idea what the fuck football game you're supposed to play if it's not named FIFA. That's the thing.
Hurt. I have to wonder if losing the FIFA name recognition would hurt it in the most casual audiences. And the thing is, that's just the two established sports games. The next college football game went up for pre-orders recently, which probably is good for money, but college football, its initial release, was astoundingly powerful. It sold so many goddamn copies. Basically propped up game industry stats, it sold that well. But that's because it was new. People had not had college football in that way before. So will just another entry, will that really outpace the sales of College Football 25? I would bet.
How much actually is a lot for college football? I have no idea. But anyway, it's looking pretty grim for EA, honestly, considering everything. Which is good. Fuck EA. Okay? Turns out, get this, boys. Being voted the worst company in existence 2 or 3 or how many years in a row actually has an impact. Wow, who would have expected? I know. Anyway, that was Billiard News 10 out of 10. Bye.